easy street and are looking at poor people and saying,
cry me a river, Rick. Yeah. Cry me a flippin' river. You chose to come to this country. Go to another country. Let me get this straight. So you just said you come to this country, and this country has to give you to the people that have been here for a while? It's like me saying...
No. So, you misunderstood me.
But you're saying
that. No. What I'm saying is...
That they have an advantage? They should have an advantage.
Patrick Bet David brought on this woke crybaby idiot onto his show, the PBD Podcast, on the Value Tainment YouTube channel, and tore him to shreds whenever he's acting as if America owes him something. You know, because he exists, I guess. It's a Spanish immigrant who came here, and now he thinks America owes him the world. And Patrick Bet David just putting him in his place and telling him why he's completely wrong. Let's get into this clip here where Patrick Bet David absolutely annihilates this woke idiot for these deranged claims here live here on the PBD Podcast and the Value Tainment YouTube channel.
Do anything you want to do in America. Obviously, you're not going to be the next LeBron James if you can't jump 46 inches, but this is America.
Or if your dad didn't get you into Harvard, even though you had a C average because he was an alum there and has connections. So let's be honest about this, Patrick. Yeah. There is something to say about a country that right now is allowing not the finest to become successful, but the ones who come here with deep. I know there's guys like you and me. I came from poverty.
Who are you alluding to, though? Who are you alluding to? The guys that go to Harvard, like who?
No, I'm talking about us wanting to make Elon Musk a hero. His dad owned a diamond mine. I mean, come on, let's face it. That doesn't mean that he grew up poor. That doesn't mean he grew up rich. But there is a difference, to be fair, between a guy who comes to this country, has to really work his butt off to make it, and these guys who had it on easy street and are looking at poor people and saying,
cry me a river, Rick. Yeah. Cry me a flippin' river. You chose to come to this country. Go to another country. Let me get this straight. So you just said you come to this country, and this country has to give you to the people that have been here for a while? It's like me saying...
No. You misunderstood me.
But you're saying
no. What I'm saying is...
That they have an advantage? They should have an advantage.
No. What I'm saying is that there's an argument that still exists, that there's some things about our country that we can fix to make sure everybody has an equal playing field.
That's not going to happen, though. Yeah, it's just not going to happen, bro. And I'm telling you right now, and it doesn't have to. That's simple. It doesn't have to improve. Look, for me... We came from Iran to U.S. The U.S. gave us a green card. We came in. U.S. doesn't owe me shit except for the green card they gave me. That's it. I don't need to have the same advantage or the same equal opportunity as John F. Kennedy's grandson. I don't need to have that.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So,
I am your story.
Yeah,
my parents made $10,000 combined income. But we were poverty.
I get that, but that story needs to be told. Not the story of we need to figure out a way to make it equal. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Point well taken.
It's just not for me to say, hey, it's unfair that, we need to make it equal, that LeBron's kids can play basketball because they're... Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with
not if they're only 5 feet tall.
But the point, so something like Shannon Sharp says one time, he says, look, I understand the argument. I was born with this body.
Yep.
I got a badass body. And it's unequal opportunity to you and I versus Shannon Sharp. You look at the guy, he's just got it, right? So what are we going to say? Hey, work out less? Hey, do me a favor, do a little bit less legs. Can you run a little slower? Can you? No, that's not. This is how it was created.
And it's really obnoxious, these people's obsession with tearing down people for being born into money or born into power, born into status, whatever it is. So many people go at Donald Trump and anyone else, Elon Musk, this guy just went after as well, for being born into money. It's like, it's not their fault they're born into money. All they could do is just take the circumstances, just like you can do. Take the circumstances that you were born into and make the most out of it. They might have gotten a head start on you. That's not their fault. Why are you mad about it? All it is just jealousy. Like, man, I wish I was born into money. That way I could just be a lazy piece of crap and not do anything. I mean, that's not what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing, though. They're making the most out of the fact that they were born into money. So many people just like to go after people who were born into money, and I just don't understand it. Like, yeah, I wish that was the case for me, too. I wish I was born filthy rich, too. But I'm not going to get mad at them, and I'm not going to try and tear them down because of that or tarnish their name. I'm not going to use that as an excuse to not go hard and make something of myself because I wasn't born into money. It's just this coping mechanism that people like to use because they feel insecure about themselves and where they're at, and they see someone else who's massively successful, and they're going to try and make up some excuse for why they have an unfair advantage, why they can't accomplish the same thing that the other person has accomplished. And for a lot of these people, you're born into money or you got lucky, well, whatever excuse they want to come up with. They never just want to take accountability and say, you know what, I could have done the same thing this person did if I worked hard enough. They don't want to do that. It's uncomfortable to do that.
So for us to come here and be able to compete, Elon Musk was an immigrant when he came here. And Elon Musk was able to build a company, and we should actually get the kids. Again, this goes back to a conversation we had a few months ago where we have to be careful who we turn into hero where our kids aspire to be. If we demonize people that are heroes, our kids don't want to be like those people.
So let me just say this.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. Maybe this is the way I should present my argument, pushing back on you a little bit, that it's
totally
all about we're all equal and everybody's the same and, we all get to the same place and, it's all about your merit, which I understand. And if it's a meritocracy, and if it's truly a meritocracy, I'm all for it. But if we live in a country where a specific company can get subsidies from the government because they lobbied certain politicians and those politicians accepted the money and then allowed that company to have an advantage over my company in a corrupt way, then we got to fix that. And some of that is happening in America today.
Well, you're talking about lobbying and corrupt
I'm talking about if you could just make the argument that everybody...
There's no way that Pat's going to disagree with you on that. That's something that Pat advocates against nonstop. We have lobbyists.
Nobody, I don't think anybody, unless you're benefiting from the lobbying, is going to disagree with that. You're completely moving the goalpost, completely changing the argument now. And that's not at all what Patrick Bet-David was even saying before. Of course, Patrick Bet-David doesn't like lobbying, doesn't like this crony capitalism, as Adam puts it. Everybody thinks that shouldn't be the case, left and right wing. The only people who should be the case and should be in place are the people who are benefiting off of the lobbying. That's common sense, man. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
6 weeks ago, I'm so against what the lobbyists are doing. But
yeah, exactly. So all I'm saying is within our system, there are advantages for certain people who have certain money. Okay,
good. Those are two different stories.
I took it out of the immigrant basis and just talked about America.
I get that. To me, those are two different stories.
What I think your perspective is, and this is just me, sitting on your right for 2 years now, it's all you owe me once you let me in the country is the opportunity to succeed or fail.
Yeah.
Just you let me in. And, they say nobody cares, work harder. That's basically your perspective.
No,
you let me in. Thank you. It's on me now.
And Pat, your mom and dad, it was a process, right?
That's his story.
They had to wait in line and they had to wait till they get their card and they came in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But by the way,
that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. We lived at a refugee camp for a year and a half.
Yeah.
By the way, that everyone at this table has the same story.
100%.
My family fled Eastern Europe in the 1920s and all settled here in America. Your family fled Cuba. His family fled Iran.
My parents came on a boat for 30 days.
Immigration gets complicated, though, guys. And that's why I keep going back to we need a system to make it make sense. Because right now it doesn't make sense. And here's what happens right now. I'll give you an example. There's a company in Dalton, Georgia. It is the carpet mill manufacturing place of the entire world. When their workers all left or died or got old from the Appalachians who were here from World War II, their kids said, Dad, Mom, I don't want to work at the mill.
Yeah.
I don't want that job. So the entire industry was about to dry up. That industry found a way to go to Mexico and recruit people who came to this country to save the carpet mill industry, which is now thriving once again in Dalton, Georgia. I went there and I talked to the people in Dalton, Georgia. I said, what do you think of these people? They said, at first we were very concerned, but now, the guy who runs the dry cleaner, the guy who's the Chamber of Commerce guy says, they come into work earlier, they leave late, they always pay their bills on time, they filled up our churches. They're great to have in this community. So, and here is a company that illegally went to Mexico and recruited undocumented immigrants to refill their positions that Americans apparently didn't want. There's a story there that tells us something. I'm not sure what it is, but I think part of that story is the business industry. Some people on the right or on the left would say, look at those people, those business people in Dalton, Georgia, those bastards, look what they did. But yet at the same time, they help our country become better by getting these people here. So we need a system that allows the people of Dalton, Georgia, those businesses to do that correctly and legally.
I tell you what, though, I think.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think the community that wins there is the Hispanic community because. So if people who are born in America, let's just say they're white and they don't want to do the work of $17 an hour at Target, don't do it. I'll do it.
Right.
I'll take that job.
Right.
It's totally fine. I'll take that job.
That's my dad.
But here's the difference. in the military, when you get out of the military, sometimes the challenge with vets is they get out, they've been conditioned to be government employees, and when they get out, they've learned work ethic, they've learned to work together as a team, they've learned all this stuff, but they're small thinkers. So they get a job at the UPS after they come out of the military. I made it. Hey, I get those additional 10 points on the test I take. Hey, I go become a cop. Hey, I go become a firefighter. Hey, I go become this. I've made it. And that's it. And that's all I do. No problem. But you learned the most difficult thing to be able to compete in a marketplace, which is working hard, working as a team and leadership. That and free enterprise can help you do a lot. So the challenge becomes Hispanics are willing to do those jobs. You got to think a little bit bigger. And the Hispanic voices like yourself, like the Ramoses, like those people out there have to say, hey, why don't you go compete with Musk? Instead of saying, poor you can't compete with Musk. Stop saying that. I can't stand it when people say stuff like that to me when I was a kid coming up because I'm supposed to be afraid of somebody. Stop saying that kind of stuff.
Did I hit a nerve with this?
It also takes the accountability out of your hands, and it takes your free will out of your hands. It's like your destiny is now predetermined, and you can't exceed the destiny that's been predetermined for you. And it's just stupid and nonsensical. I mean, yeah, if you keep telling people that, they are going to only be able to take the jobs from the factory workers that don't want to do their jobs anymore, the cleaning ladies, things like that. But it's hilarious that this guy just said a few minutes ago, he's like, we need a legal way for these companies to do that. Dude, we have a legal way, man. It's called legal immigration. What? People can still come into the country, just not illegally. What's so hard about that? They can't get smuggled in. What are you talking about here? Talking about a legal way that we've had that always. You know, it's just, I don't even understand what that talking point was. And I can't even believe Patrick Bet-David let that slide. But dude, it's just undeniable that there's good people who are immigrants. Like, nobody's agreeing with that. There's good people, there's hard workers, there's Christians who are coming through the southern border for sure. But in terms of illegal immigrants, I would say there's a whole lot more criminals coming through than good people. Like, even if there's not more or 30% criminal, 70% good person, that's still way too much. And we should shut it down. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. Who is it worth it for? Who's winning the situation? Only large corporations that want to hire cheap labor. That's it. It's the only people that are benefiting from it. And I guess the Democrats who want them to vote Democrat in the future. But that's it. So there's just no point in us allowing more illegal immigration or legal immigration on that point. I don't think. I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you think about Patrick Bet-David absolutely shutting down this guy. Once again, another guy who loves to play the victim card. I'm sure he has some sort of book to sell to Latinos on why they're victims and why they can never make it in life. Let me know in the comments what you think of this whole Patrick Bet-David versus this woke idiot here live on the PBD Podcast and the Value Team YouTube channel.